How's it going, everyone? Balrog here. So I've had a lot of people ask me in game, or advice or tips on how to do the Simulacrum as a dual wield gladiator, Lacerate Gladiator. So I wanted to make a video to kind of not really a tutorial, but kind of like a demonstration of what I do to clear Simulacrum consistently. I carry Simulacrum sometimes if I'm feeling up to it. Which I usually am. So, tip number one, max your chaos resistance, because there's stuff in here that does chaos. But more importantly, this specific effects right here, monsters deal 26% extra physical damage as chaos. When you get a wave that has this, and I just decided to start at 16, because I just wanted to skip the first 15 waves in the video because they're completely unimportant. I wanted to start at a little bit deeper in. That will just kill you, because all mobs will have that, and you'll be absolutely boned if you don't have chaos resistance, if you roll a wave like this past 15, 16, 17 or so, especially later waves. And this is a particularly nasty wave, because we have the extra physical damage is fire, extra physical damage is lightning, and the extra physical damage is chaos, and they have the fire penetration as well as fire damage. Fortunately, there's only wave 16, so we're probably just going to blow through it without having to worry about anything, but it's always good to check your waves before you start them, know what you're up against, and pre-plan for it. For instance, monsters poison on hit. I would often go, if I saw that, if it was like a 19 or a 20, and switch to Shikari. Problem is, you need, well, you don't need, but I very much like to have Rizlatha in here, and pretty much against any boss, because what Rizlatha allows you to do is, for instance, if you're fighting Kosis and you're low on health, and I mean I have plenty of regen, but I always like to have my health flash, so I run away to the other side and let Kosis do his thing. And if you're far enough away, Kosis will not follow you. He'll just sit there and do his little storm thing. And you can regen your flasks, go back, fight Kosis a little, go back. There's absolutely no shame in retreating if you need to. Especially the first few times you kill the Simulacrum. So Rizlatha helps you do that. And then I run Solaris in here specifically for the Eater of Souls buff, which is take no extra damage on critical strikes if you've taken a critical strike recently. Because another one of the roughest affixes is the increased critical chance, and then the increased critical strike multiplier. Excuse me, I'm yawning here. And that can... there is a wide range of things that can just make monsters and Kosis just absolutely obliterate your entire health pool really fast. So number one, get high chaos resistance as high as you can, and pre-plan. Number two, use the map to your advantage. This is a good map for this. There are some maps that are a little bit worse for kiting, they're a little bit worse for boss fighting, but much better for speed clearing. I want to note too, I'm not I'm well geared because I'm 100. I'm about as well geared as you expect 100 to be, but I'm not actually like really geared. I can invest a lot more in my gear and become a lot more powerful and make it a lot easier. But I don't particularly want to do that because A, the league's almost done for me, and B, I want to be a little bit more relatable. I want to be I don't want to just blow things out of the water without trying, because that would make for a boring video. You know, you can go look up any video and watch somebody just destroy whatever content you want. You know, with like a Eternity Shroud Trickster or something like that. They just insta-phase every fight in the game. But yeah, I like this better. So let's get into it. I'll just try to talk as I go along here. Flask usage and management is another big point here. Try to keep your flasks up as much as possible. Try to kite as much as possible. Do not do what I did and go in the middle, if you can help it. And if you do, just do it only to bounce through and get to the other side. Now this wave, I can stand in the middle and attack. Whoop! There's Kosis. I was going to say, this wave, I can stand in the middle and attack all day. But give me a minute to find Kosis here. And another tip. If you're fighting a boss, this is a terrible way for Kosis, but at least it's only 16. If you're fighting a boss, try to clear out the trash before you fight them. keep my eye on Kosis, because he's going to do some nasty abilities this time. Wow! Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, mostly clear. Let's go fight Kosis now. Okay, and shoot. Stay behind him. He's doing his lightning thing. So he does this in a clockwise fashion. Try to get behind him. Let's get away. Oh, there's his thing. You can probably kill him here. So, fortunately, that was a really easy Kosis. I kind of wish we'd gotten a harder one. Like a one on a later wave, but I suppose that will do. Kosis is not as difficult as you might think, but if you let him get out of control and spawn too many storms, he might be a problem for you, especially in a smaller map. So, maybe I'll make a different video about a Kosis fight, because that was kind of just quick, because it was only 16. But, he does a lot of attacks clockwise. Like, he'll attack, and then if you get behind him and keep rotating around behind him, like most bosses, or like most real bosses, you'll be able to get away with killing him without taking too much damage. Just watch out for his blink strikes and AoE. It should be okay. So what are we on? Wave 17? Looks good. So I'll get to use some of my, or I'll get to display some clearing tactics here. 17 's still not too high. We'll get a better example of this on 18 and 19. But cutting and doing little bits of damage like this, and making sure you keep your wall war chiefs down if you use them is always a good idea. And getting out of here. Sometimes you might just want to bolt all the way across the level like that. I didn't really need to there, but just for example. As I was saying a few minutes ago, try never to stand still as a Lacerate Gladiator, and I'm sure as many other classes too, because you will get overwhelmed and completely boned. Sack frags. I wouldn't mind some sack frags. Map quantity. Sack frags and catalyst looks good to me, right? Okay, here we go. So, unlike what I did last wave, let's take a moment to assess this wave. Normally I just glance, but let's go through it. So the attack speed, not too big of a deal. Monsters deal 178% extra physical damage as fire, and they penetrate 10% fire resistance, and they deal extra physical damage as chaos. That extra physical damage as chaos will absolutely tear you apart if you have low chaos resistance, like I was mentioning earlier. If you had negative chaos resistance, or even in the low positives, that will tear you apart even at 18. So you'll need to be very careful about that.
I will break you.
So, 178% fire damage. Lots of this. So let's toss our war chiefs down and go up here. And our war chiefs will do some work down there. Now I could probably just go down there in the middle and start swinging at stuff because it's still only 18. And I do have a good amount of leech. But I'm just being extra careful, because I want to be a good player and demonstrate proper fighting technique here. We have a bunch of melee shields too, so it's going to be a bit of a weird fight. Also, I'll demonstrate this more in 19 and 20. Don't be afraid to pop into Blood Stance for a moment and whack down a unique. In fact, you might want to clear the entire wave 20 in Blood Stance by dividing and conquering. There's also no shame in doing little bits at a time, like pulling them into the corner, killing a few, pulling a few into the mortar, pulling a few more into the corner, killing a few more, etc., etc. I'm just going to put these fragments on my dump tab, my fragment tab, instead of my dump tab. Less to hit later. Okay. More monster life. There's that critical strike chance I was talking about. And there's the critical strike multiplier, which is why we take specifically Soul of Solaris here for the Eater of Souls buff. And Luminaris is great for maps. It's great for a lot of things. But it is pretty useful in Simulacrum too. It's a hard choice between these two, but just because there's so much damage from that particular affix that can completely bone you in this, I take Solaris. And I didn't start off taking Solaris, but I am now. But that does mean you need to watch out for chain projectiles, which can also spawn you. So we have, again, the 10% fire resistance plus the physical damage is fire. Although it's only 92 instead of 178. 25% increased monster damage. Sucks. Increased critical strike chance, multiplier. And they take reduced extra damage, but we don't care about that at all, because I don't particularly crit. And more monster life. So, let's lay down our War Chiefs and get busy. I'll try to do this well. Okay. Get potions, go to the middle. Kite this way. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. Move your portal to a more advantageous spot if you need to. For instance, I don't like the default portal positioning in this map, so I put it over there by the entrance to the sewers. Or where the entrance to the sewers would be, if this was a real, or if this was actually the map. More War Chiefs, more kiting to the corner. Let's get this group of guys over here. Go over here. Okay. More. Oh, this is really cool because you can pick guys from right here. There's a little quirk about this particular map. Alright, there's 19 down. And let's hit 20. Oh my! I forgot to look at what it was. Extra physical damage is fire, of course, because that's all we can ever get. Martial life. I'll look at it later. Anyway. So, we're going to go to Blood Stance and try it, and I'll show you this technique. Stand over here in a safe spot. There's usually safe spots in most maps. Kite a few mobs over here. Let's blow them up a little further. Kite a few more over here. Potion up. Also for flasks, for my build specifically, I usually hit my my 2 through 5, and then I use my my seething flask. It's hitting from this corner though. See, I'm switching to Blood Stance for these little harder guys. Let's go in here, do a little damage, draw a few more. Yep. Anyway, I use my 2 through 5 for normal stuff, and I use my 1, which is my seething, for quick healing. Now I could probably get away with going in the middle here and kiting a little more liberally like this, just around. As long as they, you don't stand still and let them catch you for too long, you should be okay. Alright, up here. Alright. And that's it. That's it.
So be it. Keep your precious sanity, my agent of chaos. You shall serve me whether you like it or not. I'm not going anywhere.
So, the affixes don't matter that much for the first few waves up to like 17, but you might want to start looking at them at 18. I did a bit earlier, just because I wanted to demonstrate a couple of the affixes and what dangers they could present. But it's not too bad overall. So I'm running 6.2k health or so, and as I mentioned twice now, this is the third time, cap your chaos resistance, because delirium in maps and delirium in here will bone you if you are not chaos, or at least have high chaos. If you need to, use an amethyst flask. In fact, I have an amethyst flask that I used before I was chaos capped. I just swapped it out with whatever my other curse flask was. I also use multiple flasks. People sometimes whisper me, they're like, why aren't you using a curse flask? Or why aren't you using a burning flask? I probably am, but I have multiple flasks for multiple situations. It's just I can only use 5 at a time, and I swap them out for what I'm doing. Another thing is I swap Impale out with Ruthlessness, depending on the situation. I've actually grown to prefer Ruthlessness a little bit more. I almost always use it in Simulacrum because it gives a little bit extra stun, and a little bit extra bleeding damage, which helps against the bosses like Kosis. But it's pretty good. I prefer that often over Impale. Impale's a little, I believe Impale's a little faster for clearing maps. It seems that way anyway. The numbers always conflict because, yeah, Path of Exile, that's what it does. So, in closing, I hope this video was educational for some, and I know you guys don't usually hear me talk in Path of Exile videos, but here I am. If you need help with the Simulacrum, or with these principles of beating the Simulacrum, let me know, and I will try to help you out. And one other thing, do not get discouraged if you go into a wave and it's just, or you get a bad Kosis or a bad wave and you just cannot do it, because there are some Simulacrum rolls, like really horrible ones, like if you get like what I got on wave 16, like with the extra chaos damage and the greatly increased physical damage and the physical penetration, or the increased fire damage, physical to fire, and the increased fire penetration, and like the crit, and like multiple projectiles, like really bad stuff can roll, and it can make it so like the maps, that particular wave is very close to impossible, especially with Kosis. Sometimes they'll walk up to you and teleport behind you and melee swing and just one-shot you. There's really, if they stack incorrectly, there's really nothing you can do about that. So don't get discouraged. Try again. You'll do it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm not really a YouTuber, as you can tell. I'm a Path of Exile player and a video game player who tries to make informative videos. Thank you for watching. Have a great night, or day, wherever you are.